and we got none other than Ron Mathis. How's it going, man?
Not too bad, guys. How you doing?
Doing great, man. Doing great. Thanks for asking.
Doing great, man. You're going into the tournament of death already, kind of, just coming out of another, deathmatch tournament. How are you feeling physically going into this tournament, man?
Well, actually, I did the Kings of the Coliseum this past weekend, and that and the Rockstar show the night before was actually my first matches since Masters of Pain, because I had surgery on my elbow. I guess right. I got a gash and it got dirty. I got cellulitis, so I'm 2 matches in, and it's been a monster's ball with Abyss, and then the death match is the Coliseum thing with Crane and Rotten. So I mean, I'm feeling pretty good considering all that. I feel not 100%, but 79%.
Nice.
Not bad.
Well, how was it working with Abyss, man?
It was pretty cool. He's as always the TV people, he's bigger than he looks. He's a freaking monster, but
yeah.
It was a good match back to go ahead and get myself thrown into the fire and be ready for anything going into TOD.
Right. Well, you were talking about Masters of Pain. You actually defeated Nick Gage in the finals. How was it working with him? And are you guys friends on the side, or how is it that he's returned from jail, and how is it possibly working with him in the finals again?
Well, I hadn't met Nick until that day.
Okay.
And that was honestly, I've been through some matches in my time, but that was the most brutal match I've ever been through. The fact that I won, it's amazing, because I got the middle rope pile driver through a pane of glass. I got brain busted on some slats or something, and power bomb through. I can't remember everything that happened to me. It was brutal, and like I said, for all the deathmatch stuff I've ever done, I'd say that was more extreme than anything, and I'm not going to forget that one anytime soon. He's intense.
Definitely. Well, how did it feel to be to defeat him at the end, man? I mean, after all the light tubes have been shattered and scattered all over the ring, all eyes on you at the end. It's got to be an excitement.
It was pretty surreal, Like, I wasn't really expecting to even be in the ring with him that night, really at all. And then the fact that it was the finals, and then the deathmatch scene after the matches, the handshake at the end is pretty common, and those things are a shoot. If they don't feel you're worthy to put you over, they're not going to do it. So the fact that he extended the hand was pretty good feeling.
Yeah, and that's one of those guys. If you get a handshake from him, man, that's well respected.
Yeah, it's one of the accomplishments I'll definitely keep in my back pocket for a while.
Yeah, definitely. Nice. Actually, I do the same thing, man. But you talked about working with Abyss. Another hardcore legend that you've actually worked with is Sabu. How was it working with Sabu, man?
Sabu, he's exhausting to keep up with, because even now, whatever age he is, I don't know, he's in the ring constantly moving. He never stops. So you got to try to keep up with him, and it's hard to keep your wind. And he's the same as he's still just as intense now as it seems like he always was. So that was another one that was just surreal, like unbelievable, being in the ring with Sabu. I'll never forget that either.
Awesome. Boxman, you got a question?
Yeah, you recently worked, another guy you recently worked with was Madman Pondo. Wanted to know if you were a fan of his growing up, and just kind of how it was to work with him.
I wouldn't say I wasn't really a fan growing up, because growing up I was, I didn't know anything other than what was on TV, so it was like WWF and WCW.
Right.
But once I got into my teenage years, I went to an indie show here in Chillicothe. It was Mad Pro Wrestling, and actually the first live death match I ever saw was Pondo just completely annihilating some jabroni. I mean, just destroyed him. I don't even remember the guy's name, but so that was the first live death match experience I ever had. And now I've had countless matches with him, so
wow,
it's pretty cool to think of where I was then and where I am now.
Awesome, man.
Nice. Well, going into Tournament of Death, man, you actually were you did the show last year, of course, but you weren't in the tournament. You faced off against Devin Moore, which actually you took. I was there live, man, and you took one of the craziest spots. Mind you, this is the Tournament of Death, and you guys didn't use too many light tubes or anything like that, but you got slammed from the top rope, or suplex from the top rope onto a shopping cart. I mean, that was it's one of those things when you see it, you can just imagine, because not too many people can relate, to getting light tubes shattered over them. But you've jammed into shopping carts and things like that before. But how has it been in the Tournament of Death this year, and just kind of being on the side last year?
Last year it actually wound up being kind of a last minute thing. I wasn't expecting anything at TOD, and I think I remember right, what happened was I just saw DJ at Rockstar, and I was like, DJ, come on, put me on Tournament Death. I know you got a non-tournament match. So I just kind of pestered him all night until he agreed to do it. If I remember, I think that's kind of how it went down. And then, it wound up happening. Everyone was warning me that, it's impossible to keep the crowd with a non-tournament match at COD. It's impossible. And at first, I felt it, man. And the non-tournament matches, it's just hard to get them to pay attention and care about. And then we slowly got them by the end. And then the shopping cart is what really put it over the edge. But the one thing about that, if you actually go back to watch that match, is it was the fans bring the weapon. And there was this big, oversized mallet that was wrapped up and designed to look like a mallet, and it said CZW and BJW on it. And I got clunked in the head with it, thinking it's going to be nothing. And what it wound up being was a wrapped-up water cooler. And I got hit with the wrong end of it and, gashed my head and busted my eardrum. And that's my most vivid memory from last year.
Man. Wow. Hey, I'll tell you what, we got a caller calling in with a question. Dave, you there?
Yes, hey, how you doing, guys? What's up, Ron? Looking forward to seeing you on Saturday versus Jake Christ. It's going to be totally wicked, man. Totally wicked. I'm looking forward to seeing what you could do.
Thank you.
Awesome. You got a question for Ron?
Yeah. You think you're going to take it this year, Ron, or what? What do you think, man? It's going to be some tough guys in there, but we know,
The thing about this year is... What's that?
Go ahead, Ron.
Okay, the thing about this year's TOD that I never had going into the one previous I was going into is I've actually got more CZW experience than a bit of the field. It's Connor's first TOD, it's Crane's first TOD, or Shane Page's first TOD. So for once, I don't feel like I'm the I'm not the people that look at me as the weak horse. I am actually expected to do some things this time. Even my first round, Jay Chris, it's his first TOD, and he's done some deathmatch stuff, but not a ton. So I like this fact this year. I'm going in actually, in my mind, as one of the favorites and not the underdog. So it's cool on having something to prove, and it's cool having people actually expect me to win, and I plan on living up to the hype.
Right. And this tournament, Ron, is my very first time going to TOD, brother. So I'm looking forward to my first experience. I got to make my weapons. I know, I got the Woodstock of Ultra Island. I know, man. We live for that shit. It's insane. It is insane. I grew up watching Mick Foley, and so actually, the first time I saw him was in my hometown. I was about 14 years old in the school gym versus Ron, Gilbert or whatever his name. Yeah, Gilbert. And I was like, holy shit, this guy can do it all. But then looking at you, you got mad skills behind you, and I'm looking forward to rooting you on this weekend.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
And kicking back and drinking a couple cold beers, man.
Cool, man.
All right. Thanks, Dave. Appreciate the call, man.
Thank you very much.
Take it easy, man.
All right.
Ron, we got a couple more questions, and then we'll let you go. Boxman, you got another question?
Yeah, just kind of wanted to ask you about the crowds. I know you've worked the Northeast plus the Southern area. Just wanted to kind of ask the difference in those two crowds, the Northeastern crowd and the Southern crowds.
It's pretty between home and when I go on the road like with CZW and stuff. It's apples and oranges, man. The crowds around here where I live, they want heroes and villains,
Mm-hmm.
And if you deliver that and you know how to tell a story and get them invested emotionally, you can keep them here. But going on the road, man, you got to be able to deliver the high impact. A lot of guys that live where I live wouldn't be able to hang if they ventured out because it's the old school philosophy doesn't still work there as well as it does here. Mm-hmm. But I enjoy both. I honestly do. I like to think that I can adapt to anything and make it work and still be me. And I think that's one ability that I've been able to manage over the years.
Okay, awesome.
Nice. Well, you've worked with Nick Gage before, of course. We briefly mentioned Matt Tremont and Josh Crane and some of the other participants in Rockstar Pro or IWA, but and also CZW actually. But how is it going in here into this year's? Because this year it seems like it's a lot of new faces, and you might be one of those guys that a lot of people kind of slept on, but I think this is one of those years. You and Tremont are the ones that are on the rise. So, how does it feel, man? Do you think this is your time?
See, I definitely thought that I've been capable of it being my time for a while, and and now this TOD kind of being it kind of seems like, I don't know if it's supposed to be a scene, but it seems like it's more based on the future of deathmatch wrestling, and I completely dig that, man, because for the longest time, everyone says, oh, it's not the same, deathmatch is dead. And I've always thought that's idiotic, because I think it's a new breed coming out now that's taking it to a new level, you know, like, it's not just dudes that are just fat guys hitting each other with stuff anymore. It's a new breed of, like, hybrid deathmatchers, and I think it's a good time, and I like that this TOD is going to kind of shine a light on that.
That's cool, man. Boxman, you got another question?
Yeah, I was going to ask. Since last year had a lot of mixed talent, you know, with the Japanese guys and the Mexican wrestlers. Are you feeling a lot of pressure going into this year's Tournament of Death, or not? Or not really?
Since it's all U.S. guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never really buy into the pressure, but I can see how some people might go into this year's with lower expectations than last year's because it was, international and all the BJW guys there and whatnot. But I have, like I said, I have complete confidence in what I consider my generation of deathmatchers, like me and Crane and Connor and, of course, Tremont, which I can even be humble enough to say who's leading the pack. I'm confident in my generation of it. I know we're going to kill it. Hopefully people are going to open their eyes that there's more out there in the ultra-violent world than what they've already seen.
Right.
Nice. Boxman, any more questions?
He's answered mine, and I don't know if you had any more.
All right, well, let's see, man. You want to plug your Twitter or anything else, any upcoming shows that you got coming on?
I am Ron Mathis 13 on Twitter. I keep pretty updated on my shows on there. We got Rockstar Pro Wrestling every Wednesday in Dayton and Ants on YouTube. And like we mentioned the Abyss match earlier, and that's actually going to be on iPay-per-view when Rockstar gets it up. It's DIYWrestling.com. So if you want to check that out, it'll be up on there.
Nice. Hey, man. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing you this Saturday.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks, Ron.